Roommate's cleaning ultimatum backfires spectacularly. Chad was a hurricane of lemon-scented disinfectant and tightly folded towels. A Category 5 clean freak crammed into a 2-bedroom apartment. Sarah, bless her heart, was a nursing student who worked double shifts and whose definition of clean was no visible biohazards. And then there was me, Liam, a history grad student drowning in thesis research on the socioeconomic impact of the potato famine. My idea of cleaning was moving the overflowing pile of books from the desk to the floor to create a workspace. It started small. Little notes taped to the microwave splatter clean immediately or my desk, dust germs failure. Then came the strategic repositioning of my belongings. My laptop charger would mysteriously relocate to the hallway closet. My research notes would be stacked in neat and possibly symmetrical piles on the kitchen counter. Subtle jabs at first, escalating into a full-blown territorial war. Then came the ultimatum. It was delivered in the form of a laminated, color-coded cleaning schedule. Each day was meticulously broken down into tasks, specifying not only what needed to be cleaned, but how. Kitchen countertops use only method, all-purpose cleaner in lavender. Streaks are unacceptable. Dining table pledge, lemon scent only. Apply in circular motions. The bathroom section alone read like a chemistry textbook. And the consequences? Missed tasks resulted in escalating fines payable directly to Chad. Repeated offenses, he'd warned, would lead to me being evicted. Sarah rolled her eyes when she saw it. He's lost it, Liam. Seriously. She tried to talk to him, but Chad just launched into a tirade about shared responsibility and maintaining a presentable living environment. Sarah, exhausted from a 12-hour shift, just sighed and retreated to her room. I tried. I really did. I followed the schedule, bought the ridiculous array of cleaning products my meager teaching assistant salary was taking a hit, and scrubbed until my hands were raw. But it was never enough. There's a smudge on the mirror, Chad would pronounce, his voice dripping with disdain, pointing to a completely invisible imperfection. Or, you didn't fluff the throw pillows correctly. They need to be at a 45-degree angle. His girlfriend, Tiffany, was no help. She was a mini Chad, constantly surveying the apartment with a critical eye. Liam, darling, she'd purr, you missed a spot on the baseboard. Honestly, it's just basic hygiene. I started to feel like I was living in a prison designed by Martha Stewart. My sanity was slowly eroding. During one particularly stressful week, while simultaneously battling a particularly stubborn chapter of my thesis and a persistent ring in the bathtub, I sought advice from Professor Davis, my thesis advisor. He listened patiently, his brow furrowed. Liam, he said, adjusting his glasses. Sometimes the most effective way to deal with tyranny is to understand its weaknesses. What truly motivates this, Chad? His words stuck with me. Chad's motivation wasn't just cleanliness, it was control. And that's when the seed of an idea began to sprout. First, I started subtly pushing back. I still followed the schedule, but I bought the cheapest, most watered-down versions of the cleaning products. The Method all-purpose cleaner was suspiciously cloudy. The Pledge lemon smelled faintly of industrial floor cleaner. Chad noticed, of course. The lectures became more frequent, the inspections more intense. Then came the accidental omissions. I'd forget to dust the top of the bookshelf, which, by the way, required a stepladder and an unreasonable amount of contortion. Or, I'd mistakenly used the wrong type of paper towel, leaving a trail of lint and frustration in my wake. Sarah, witnessing the escalating absurdity, started joining the rebellion. She'd strategically misplace Chad's cleaning supplies, or leave a stray sock on the perfectly vacuumed floor. She even started a rumor that our building had mice, which sent Chad into a frenzy of sealing cracks and setting traps. He's driving me insane, Sarah hissed one evening, after Chad spent an hour lecturing her on the proper way to load the dishwasher. I'm about to snap. Almost there, I muttered, a plan forming in my mind. The breaking point came when Chad called the building maintenance guy to assess the cleanliness of the apartment. Mr. Henderson, a burly man with a permanent layer of grease under his fingernails, shuffled through our living room, looking thoroughly unimpressed. He glanced at the spotless surfaces, the perfectly aligned furniture, and then back at Chad. Looks clean to me, he grunted. Cleaner than most places I see, Chad sputtered, pointing to an invisible speck of dust on the windowsill. But the hygiene? The standards? Mr. Henderson just shrugged and walked out, leaving Chad red-faced and furious. That night, the screaming match erupted. Chad accused me of being lazy, disrespectful, and deliberately sabotaging his efforts to maintain a civilized living environment. He threatened to kick me out, to ruin my academic career, to tell everyone at the business school I was a slob. "I'm done," he yelled, his face contorted with rage. He slammed the door to his room, and a few minutes later, I heard the distinct click of the locks being changed. I was locked out. That was it. I was done being passive-aggressive. It was time to go nuclear. I spent the next day at the library, researching local tenant laws and documenting every single instance of Chad's unreasonable demands. I even managed to dig up some dirt about Chad's less-than-ethical business practices from a mutual acquaintance, just in case. Then, I put my plan into action. While Chad was out with Tiffany, I meticulously cleaned his bedroom. Not just a cursory cleaning, but a deep, industrial-strength, white-glove inspection kind of clean. I used every single cleaning product from his arsenal, following his instructions to the letter. I polished the furniture until it gleamed, scrubbed the floors until they shone, and arranged his belongings with obsessive precision. I even color-coded his closet. It took me hours. My back ached, my hands were blistered, and the scent of lavender and lemon was burned into my nostrils. But when I was finished, Chad's bedroom looked like a showroom in a high-end furniture store. It was sterile, immaculate, and utterly devoid of any personal touch. Then, I invited the other tenants in the building to come and see it. Mrs. Rodriguez from downstairs gasped. "Oh my goodness! It's like a museum." Old Mr. Peterson, who lived across the hall, shuffled in, his eyes widening behind his thick glasses. "Never seen anything like it. Cleaner than the hospital." The word spread like wildfire. Soon, a small crowd had gathered in the hallway, peering into Chad's bedroom with a mixture of awe and disbelief. Chad and Tiffany returned to find a gaggle of neighbors milling around their apartment. Chad's face went white as he took in the scene. What is going on?" he stammered. I stepped forward, my voice calm and controlled. "Just showing off my cleaning skills, Chad. Remember that cleaning schedule you gave me? Well, I decided to apply it to your room. I thought you deserved a taste of your own medicine." I presented him with a new, laminated cleaning schedule. This one was tailored specifically to his bedroom. It was even more detailed, more demanding, and more utterly insane than the original. "Effective immediately," I announced. "You will maintain your bedroom to these exact standards. Inspections will be conducted daily. Any deviations will result in fines. And if you fail to comply, well, let's just say I know a few people at the business school who might be interested in hearing about your, shall we say, creative accounting practices." Tiffany looked horrified. "Chad," she whispered, "is this true?" Chad was speechless. He stared at the cleaning schedule, then at the crowd of neighbors, then at me, his face a mask of disbelief and defeat. Sarah slapped me a high five. "That's my boy." The aftermath was glorious. Chad, humiliated and outmaneuvered, grudgingly accepted the new arrangement. He spent his days locked in his bedroom, frantically scrubbing and polishing, trying to meet his own impossible standards. Tiffany stopped coming over as often. The other tenants in the building treated him with a mixture of pity and amusement. I, on the other hand, was finally able to focus on my thesis. The apartment was peaceful, quiet, and relatively clean by my standards anyway. I even started leaving my books out on the desk again, just to see if Chad would crack. He didn't. He was too busy battling dust bunnies in his own personal hell. A few weeks later, I was sitting at my usual spot at O'Malley's pub, nursing a pint of Guinness and basking in the glow of my petty victory. The bartender, a grizzled old Irishman named Mick, raised an eyebrow as he refilled my glass. "You look like the cat that got the cream, Liam," he said. "Something good happen?" I smiled. "Let's just say I finally got my roommate to clean up his act." Mick chuckled. "Some people only learn the hard way, eh? Here's to peace and quiet. And may your thesis be less troublesome than your roommate." I raise my glass to peace and quiet, and to never, ever living with a clean freak again.